Hey, y'all. Welcome to the BirthFit podcast. I'm Dr. Lindsay Matthews Cantu, and I couldn't tell you what episode this is. We're in 200 something. But today's, as you know, the podcast structure has shifted a little bit. So most of the podcasts this year are short, sweet, direct, digestible bites of information. However, once a month, we do get a special guest. And this month, we have a very special guest, Brigid Tebaldi of Loretto Wellness. And y'all, I'm so glad. I think you might have DM'd me initially, and then I DM'd you, reaching back out. But I'm so glad. Thank God for social media for instances like this where we can meet such rad people. Because she's got so much wisdom in her tank, in her belt, in her backpack, whatever it is that she wears. And I just want to read a little bit of it, but we're gonna get into who she is, what she does, and what wisdom and medicine does she want to share with the world and is currently sharing. So, Brigid is a board certified health coach and mentor who helps women uncover the original story their nervous system learned and rebuild the foundation so their bodies no longer need to protect them at the cost of peace. That sentence right there is like, sign me up. Like, I need some inner peace for sure. Her work sits at the intersection of physiology, identity, and faith, guiding women who feel stuck in chronic stress, fatigue, emotional reactivity, or lingering physical symptoms that never seem to resolve. Through her signature program, Restored by Grace, Brigid helps women trace present day patterns back to their roots, often formed through birth experiences, ooh, early responsibility, or seasons of overwhelm, and gently rewire the body towards safety and stability. Her approach blends nervous system regulation, which we love, right? Integrative health principles and a Christian understanding of the human person, all allowing real healing to take place without force or hustle, which is like so necessary in today's world, right? Like it's all about hustle out there. I just found out Brigid is a mom of five. She's also a wife. She's a homesteader in Pennsylvania, and they love the outdoors. She just let her kids play outside, for an hour in 24-degree weather, where us in Texas just 3 weeks ago were freaking out about it. So it's practically summer for them. Um, yeah. You can share a good conspiracy theory with her, talk baking, cooking, and yeah, she loves to listen to podcasts too. So, Brigid, I want to know, how did you get into this work? Was it a personal journey, or did you always know you wanted to help and support women as far as like being at the realm of healing?
Yeah, no, it's kind of both. It's definitely very personal, where after I had my second baby, it was kind of traumatic. You can hear about that on other podcasts, and just could not find the support that I needed. Everybody was just like therapy, therapy, therapy. And it's like, that's not helping me. And so really needed to figure out what would help me, and took a while, about 2 years before I actually figured out what would help, and I really started implementing it. And I found that the traumatic birth that I experienced, I didn't I didn't perceive it in the same way that I previously was. Like I could actually talk about it without getting really emotional or worked up. But not only that, like everything else in my life started to change as well. So my relationships with other people, the way that I saw myself, like just how I carried myself. And so by doing this work, this really healing work, it helped that specific moment, but then it also trickled into so much else. And so yeah, that's sort of what got me into it. And then was helping women heal after traumatic births, and I still do that. But what I was noticing is that there's these patterns that kept coming up, and these patterns were always around the question of like, am I safe? And so we see that in labor; it's pretty obvious. But then in life too, like again, our bodies are always just like, am I safe? Am I safe? Like that's literally the point. That's how God created us.
Right.
And so, yeah, it was really digging into like where, like, what is going on that so many women just feel like so overwhelmed and unsafe all the time. And what I found is that there's so, and again, I do everything from a Christian perspective. So what I found is that there are these seven wounds that we all have in some capacity. Even if we had like the most amazing childhood, the best parents, like we're fallen people in a fallen world, it happens. And
Yeah.
whenever you can really heal these wounds that you have, and this is an ongoing thing, it's not like a one and done. When you can heal these wounds, then your body actually feels safe enough to like step into who you actually are, like be your authentic self. And when that happens, like amazing stuff follows. So that's sort of
Oh,
like,
endless possibilities.
yeah. So that's sort of the short version of how I got here.
Okay. Can you share about the seven wounds?
Yeah. So these are
I
the,
know that was probably somebody else's immediate next question.
yeah. So these are based on the seven deadly sins
Okay.
and the seven desires of the human heart. And so
Mm,
basically, these seven deadly wounds are abandonment, shame, fear, powerlessness, rejection, um, hopelessness, and confusion. A lot of women struggle with that, like abandonment, fear, and powerlessness. So basically, just as an example, is like powerlessness is like, I'm overwhelmed, I don't know what to do. And that's something that a lot of us can resonate with.
yeah.
But what's interesting is that with these wounds are tied, these are tied, or these then give life to identity lies and false judgments about others, and then these inner vows that we have. So we really have to go in and figure out why your body has this response. And again,
Right.
typically it's from a memory from like earlier or how your body's perceiving things. And whenever you can actually heal that memory, then that wound is no longer going to be something that you struggle with. So yeah, that is the seven deadly wounds. I have this really beautiful picture of like a tree because a lot of people try to fix the like the canopy of the tree because that's what they can see, right? So maybe we see like the weight gain or the snapping your kids or whatever. And not that these are bad to fix. Obviously, it's like good to focus on these things. But if you don't actually address the root of the problem, I mean, you know, whenever you prune something, what happens? It comes back like with more
Yeah.
force. And if you do that whenever you have like healthy, solid roots, that's a beautiful thing. But when you do that whenever you have these roots that are not so healthy, then that's going to give these wounds that you have even more life essentially. And so yeah, it's so important to fix the root of the problem. Not to say that again the breathing exercises aren't good and like the meditation and things like that, those are good things, but they don't get to the root of why your body feels unsafe in the first place.
Right. Okay. There's so many ways I want to go, but so you mentioned that you initially started working with women healing from birth trauma, and
Mhm.
you mentioned that women, it's common for women to have abandonment issues,
Mhm.
power struggles,
Yeah.
powerlessness, and what was the third one? Overwhelm, or
Um, a lot of them are abandonment, powerlessness, and fear.
fear.
Mhm.
Um, do these show, is this what shows up, or is it common to show up in the traumatic births, or did you see a theme, or
Oh yeah. I mean, again, everybody has these wounds to some capacity.
yeah,
And so again, a lot of times these will show up as like the people pleasers. They're afraid to say no. Maybe they go in and they're like, I have this birth plan and I'm going to stick to it. But then as soon as like the nurse or doctor comes in, they like can't make themselves talk. Like they
right.
physically like can't make themselves talk.
Hmm.
And they can't, they just want to be the one who's like the good girl. Like those are the
Yeah,
big ones that I see.
yeah,
Um,
totally.
and then that trickles into
Same.
again everything else. Like I mean you say like you birth how you live, right? And so like if
Yeah,
you are living like your birth is just going to really magnify how it is that you're living.
yes,
And so
yeah,
that's yeah, huge.
huge. So, gosh, I want to get, okay, let me ask this other question. How do, if somebody's kind of, if somebody's investigating their reality, right, and
Mhm.
challenging what's going on, like trying to dig in and look at the roots, how do how do they know they're at the roots? You know, is that a
Yeah,
valid question?
that's a really good question. So I'm not sure. Okay, so the way that I do it is I have this really
Yeah,
powerful exercise that we go through and really help them to, and again, because it's Christian based, we invite the Holy Spirit into it so that we know that like it's not just you randomly thinking about something, like it's really God
yeah,
this to the forefront and saying like this is what you need to heal. And so usually, like if I were to ask you right now, what's one moment from your childhood that you still think about today? Like most people have something that comes to mind right away. Like
yeah.
mine, even though I've worked through it a bunch, is like whenever I was 5 years old, I got off the bus. Nobody was home. I was really scared. I called my mom. She was working. She's like, just sit tight, like watch TV, you'll be fine. Like nothing was like super bad about that
Yeah.
situation, but the way I perceived it as a 5 year old was like, I'm abandoned. Like nobody cares about me. And
Mm-hmm.
so again, a lot of us have these core memories that shape who we are. And so again, by asking the Holy Spirit to reveal to us like what is like what is this core memory that we really need to work through, that's whenever you can know that like um you're actually at that root. And the other thing with that too is I always like to say, when you can actually talk about it
Mm.
without you getting upset or anxious about it, like me being 5 years old at home by myself, it doesn't elicit a response anymore because I've worked through these
No
things.
charge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so whenever you have gone through these exercises and like can now speak about it, and it's just this neutral thing that happened, like, yeah, it might not be a great thing that happened, but it happened. You can't change it. Then your body just perceives it as something that happened and it's not something to react to anymore. So,
Okay. Yeah. No charge, no reaction.
yeah, I
Yeah.
always say it's like whenever I was going through my birth story and like really trying to heal from that, I can look at it now and like I can tell you all about it. And it
Mm.
literally doesn't bring any actually sometimes it brings up like laughter because I'm like, that is like so ridiculous that that happened. But it's just a neutral thing. Like I've read a book to my kids a million times. It's just, let's go to the next page. Like it's not a big deal anymore. And so that's where again my body's just learned that it
Yeah.
happened. You can't change the memory, but
It
like,
neutralized it.
yeah. So
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Where does you mentioned shame, right, as one of the
mhm. Yeah.
7 wounds. And I feel like that's a big one. And I've read a little bit. I haven't gone too much down like the
Yeah.
frequency of things, but I feel like shame, like if you're thinking about energy and frequency, right? Everything's
Yeah.
energetic or holds energy. There's a frequency to everything. And if I remember correctly, somebody wrote somewhere, or I read it somewhere, that shame is like the lowest vibration.
Mhm.
Um, can you talk about a little bit about that and how it shows up in people, women, or even in the birth world?
Yeah, for sure. So so basically the way that I really think about shame is that essentially it's just like I'm bad, like I'm not worthy of anything, it's my fault. Like that's sort of like how I go about shame.
Yeah.
Or it's like I could have done better, like I'm so wrong, like all of these different things. And so by again, these are all core wounds, so none of
Yeah.
them are like have a hierarchy over each other necessarily, or
Okay.
like none of them are like worse than the other ones. It's really all about our perception of things and how we take on what we have been through and how our body has processed it. And so this is where again like the nervous system responds to perceived safety,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily like hierarchy or like correctness. And so whenever a woman like sits with these wounds, especially with the shame, if they're feeling like I'm bad, it's my fault, I did everything wrong, when she sits in those wounds with Jesus and like actually tries to heal them, what happens is from a physiological perspective, she can actually start to take those deep breaths again because she's allowing him, Jesus, the true healer, to actually heal these things. She's not actually doing anything. And so what happens is instead of that energy of shame as being like, I don't know, say like cold and like desolate or constricting, what
Yeah.
happens is Jesus fills that wound and that starts to become like warm and steady and just like peaceful. Um,
Mm.
and again, it's not because you like the woman has done anything, but it's because she simply has allowed God into what
Mm-hmm.
her healing process is. And she has admitted, like, I can't heal this on my own. And
Yeah.
so, like, with any of these wounds, it's like it has to be this complete surrender of like, you've got to fix this because I can't. And then whenever you allow that, that's whenever things start to shift.
Cool. She or whoever invites the Holy Spirit in.
Yeah.
I get that. Okay. Okay. So now some women are probably wondering, is there any way as mothers to prevent these wounds in our children?
I know. This is
I'm
like my
sure
prayer
she's
every
asked
single
this
day.
question.
Yes, it's every day. Um, again, I'm no like theological scholar or anything like that, so I don't know like for sure, but I
Yeah.
would assume just because again, like reading the Bible and understanding and just knowing what our world is like, unfortunately not. And so again, you could be the best parent,
Right.
you have the best environment for your kids ever, but they're not you. And so the way that they perceive your actions is different than the way that you might intend for them to perceive your actions. And just as like a quick example, I had a client, she had a home birth, everything was like beautiful by like the standards, quote unquote standards. But
Yeah.
she remembered this one time when her midwife, who again did nothing wrong, but her midwife looked at her with like a look of concern. And she took that in and was like, I did something really bad. Like
Oh,
I must have done
yeah.
something horrible for her to look at me like that. And so again, the midwife was just looking at her like, are you okay? Like just questioning, like, did she lose too much blood? I don't remember the
Yeah.
specific situation around it. But again, the woman was like, oh, like really internalized this of like, I did this. And so I'd love to say that like, yes, it's you can prevent these things, but I don't think it's probably possible to just because again, we are fallen people in a fallen world. Now that's not to say that it's like a free for all and that you should just let your kids like do whatever you want and like have at it. But I think it's just important to acknowledge that you're not perfect. I'm not perfect. Your husband or
Yeah. We're
partner's
just
not
making,
perfect.
yeah.
And so,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think even like our generation has so much more awareness than our previous generation.
oh, for sure. Yeah.
Um, so I think that goes a long way.
Oh, 1,000%. Like just a quick example of like how these wounds come up. My daughter a few weeks ago was asking for an apple, and I was doing the laundry, and I was like, "I'll get you an apple in a minute." But just like, wait a sec. I mean, she's 9 years old, so like she's pretty responsible, and she's the oldest of four boys with four boys.
Oh my
And
gosh.
she's like, you know how that is. And
Yeah.
so I was like, "Give me a minute. I'll cut you an apple." While I'm switching the laundry over, I come out into the kitchen, and what do you know? She has an apple. She has a knife, which like she knows how to use, and she's cutting the apple. And in that moment, I could have freaked out and been like, "What are you doing? You have this sharp knife.
Yeah.
Like, you could have cut your finger off. Like, just wait for
Yeah.
me." But because I've done this work, I was like, okay, I'm feeling this rejection right now. And I could lean into it and yell at her, but that's not going to do anything because it's just going to make there's like animosity between us.
Yeah.
And it's going to make her feel like, oh, she can't do things and she's not capable. And so instead of that, it's like, oh, I'm feeling rejected. And so therefore, what is this coming from? And so instead of leaning into that rejection, I really like was like, nope, I'm going to do the opposite of this. And instead, I'm going to affirm her and say like, oh wow, you're doing such a great job. Maybe next time just wait for me so that I can like help you and make sure that you don't like need anything. So
Mhm.
even just something like that, it's so
Yeah.
benign, but like it could have gone a totally different way based off of like
Totally.
knowing this or not knowing it.
Yeah, and I think you coming in, offering that verbal support, she,
Mm-hmm.
being the eldest daughter, I was reading things about this the other day. It's like she's like, "Oh, I got this. I'll just get the
Yeah.
knife and I can do everything on my own. I'm so
Yeah.
independent." But then you come in and you offer support, so that's nice. She knows that's there. The
Yeah.
option is there.
Yeah, exactly. So again, it's just like the so I would love to say yes, it's possible to avoid it, but we just don't know how people are going to receive our actions, even if our intentions are great.
Right.
Again, we're different people. We have different upbringings, different backgrounds. Like we just never know how people are going to
Right.
receive it.
And as you, a mom of multiples, you see how different each child is.
Yeah.
So you definitely like you can think, I guess it was I heard an interview with like Gabor Mate and he was saying, with if you have siblings, like they definitely get a
Hmm.
different it's different parents each time
Yeah, for
because
sure.
you're in a different place, they're different kiddos, it's totally a different experience.
Yeah,
But
it really is for
yeah,
sure.
you don't know what the kiddos how they're going to perceive
Yeah, exactly.
uh, wow. Okay, so you mentioned, or in your bio, it says, chronic ailments or
Hmm.
physical things. I got a question. This is a personal question because this just happened last night. Um, and we have been on this rabbit hole of teeth stuff for my daughter. And
Hmm.
I don't know if anything comes up for you when I say teeth, but last night she chipped her front tooth.
Oh
Um,
no.
I know. She was running. We were at a restaurant. She was running. Um, Actually, she was climbing the bench before and she just rolled right off. And I think she tipped it on her bottom tooth. And she's very active. I feel like she climbs a lot for a girl. Um, didn't think anything of it, didn't even see the chip tooth. But then she kept running and running and running. They were laying in bed later that night and she points to her tooth and just the bottom half starts moving. And then she just pulls off the bottom half. I'm like, oh,
Oh.
what in the world? And so yeah, I'm on the phone with the dentist this morning. But anyways, that was the second chipped tooth. So I'm
Wow.
like, what do teeth mean in the like alternative healing
Yeah, I don't,
emotional world?
I mean,
What did
I
I do in utero?
no. And this is such a complex issue. Like, we're never going to know for sure. Like, is it maybe some sort of like, yeah, something that happened in utero? Is it that maybe she's not getting enough certain nutrients? Like, who knows?
Yeah.
Um, there is, are you familiar with like GNM,
Yeah.
German medicine? Yeah. So, like, there's all of that that you could look into. I don't dive too deep into like all of that necessarily. Mine is more of like, does your body feel safe enough to lose the
Yeah.
weight or like that sort of thing? But I mean, you could always dive deeper into like that
I know
GM.
I might do the G&M stuff because we've
Yeah.
done she's on a great supplement protocol because we've done the HTMAs, the hair tissue mineral
Oh,
test.
have you? Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and I don't buy, this is just me going off on a tangent. Like I don't buy the narrative that oh, it's only from her nursing all through the night. I don't know if you've heard
Yeah.
that. Um,
Yeah. With like the sugar and stuff sitting in her
yeah.
teeth.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, didn't people do this for like ever before us? And they would nurse their babies to sleep
Yeah.
and nurse throughout the night. And they, nobody's like, if you look at Weston A. Price, right? Like
Yeah.
they're super fine. They had great teeth. So I don't know what kind of lesson God's putting before
I
me.
don't, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have like some ideas here. I'm just looking through my like
Yeah.
binder. It says like teeth issues could potentially be some sort of like something with like transitioning and like that conflict of like growing up. So potentially that could be related, which I
Yeah.
mean would make sense based off of her age. She's probably going through
My gosh, yeah, because we keep
that.
saying you're growing up, you're a big girl. You don't need boobies.
Yeah. So maybe there is something about that,
You
like the
created
transition.
this wound.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
geez.
mean,
There you go, y'all.
and again, it's a mystery. Like I would love to say that we can solve every single thing, but we don't know. I mean, it's just like birth, like, right? Like we don't know how, exactly how it's going to happen. You might do
Yeah,
everything right and still things are like crazy.
yeah, yeah.
So you can only do what you can do.
Right. I just had this woman, and this is a heartbreaking story, but she is somebody that had a beautiful pregnancy and lost her baby. And when
Oh,
the time is right, I want to connect her with you.
so
But yeah, it's like, and I was talking to my mom about it last night because I had just got off the phone with her, and I said, Mom, like, and my mom's a big believer. She's a big leader in the community, her local community, as far as like Bible studies and at
yeah.
her school and stuff. I was like, I don't know what to say whenever, I make posts or podcasts and I'm like, trust in God's, amazing design, right? He gave
Mhm.
us all these things to embrace labor and you don't have to suffer through it. There's like pain is a choice. And I do believe that. But then what do I say to somebody that's like, well, how do you explain
I
loss?
know.
At that, because that is, to me, that's like one of the worst things on earth is,
Mhm.
a mom that loses her baby, at term. Um,
Yeah.
and what, you got any words for that?
I mean, it's so impossible. And anything that I'm going to
Yeah.
say is going to come out and just sound like so insensitive just
I
because
mean, there's no
you,
right thing to
you can't
say.
say anything.
Yeah.
Like you've lost your child, just like, and yeah, I mean, the only, again, this sounds like so insensitive to say this, but it's like the only thing that comes to mind and that I tell clients that I work with is like, for some reason, God allowed this. We don't know why right now. You'll
We
find
may
out
never know
eventually.
why.
Yeah, like eventually, whenever you're in heaven, you'll know. But like, for some reason, he's allowing this. And it's like terrible and it's doesn't make any sense. But like, he's going to use it for good. Again, that sounds so terrible to say
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah. I
like,
get it.
remember, he doesn't allow anything if he can't use it for his good. So like he's going to
Hmm.
make good out of it. But again, it's like it's the worst. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's one of the worst things on our physical, like our earth, our reality right now.
Oh, for sure. So
Yeah.
again, it's just like I think for any mom who has gone through anything like that, it's like it's okay to get really mad at him and like
Mhm.
yell and scream and like do whatever it is that you need to do to like show him how angry you are because
Yeah.
I mean that's ultimately what he wants too is just for us to come to him with those raw emotions. Um, because only then can we actually get deeper, like go deeper in communion with him. And so again, I'm not saying that like it's good or it's right or anything, but just he's he allowed it for some reason and he'll make good out of it somehow, some way. It doesn't make any sense to us, but
Right.
just trusting that he will is like the first step. And that knowing that eventually one day you'll get to meet your baby and you'll get to somehow make sense of it all, but it's
Yeah.
impossible.
Those those are good words. Thank you. Oh, look they all came.
Oh, yes.
uh okay, so shifting gears just a little bit. You mentioned that you do some ovulation method called Billings ovulation method.
Yeah.
Do you want to expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So the Billings ovulation method is a form of natural family planning. It has been around since, oh, I can't remember the exact year, the 50s or 60s. And it's based off of John and Evelyn Billings. And this was a husband and wife doctor couple, like they were both doctors in Australia. And what they did is they were able to figure out what the cervical mucus patterns are in relationship to ovulation. And so they've tested it. It's been again used for many, many years at this point. And they found that it has about a 99% efficacy
Wow.
when used properly. And so it's really simple. There's only 4 rules. You don't have to buy anything. There's apps you can use if you want, but like you don't have to buy anything. It's literally you just sensing whatever it is that you're feeling at the vulva and making a note of it every night. And then what you'll notice is like throughout the month, especially like so after you menstruate, we're just going to go with that because that's like the easiest thing for people to start with is the menstruation. After you menstruate, you go into what they call a basic infertile pattern, which is where you have some time of infertility.
Mm,
But during this time of infertility, they note that you're going to have like one set mucus pattern. And that could be dry, that could be damp, that could be whatever it is for you.
mm,
But then what they say is that, and like what you'll see is that as ovulation starts to ramp up or like your body starts to gear up for it, your mucus patterns are going to change from maybe, say, just make it easy, that dry to like maybe one day you feel damp, or maybe
mm-hmm.
one day you see like slight mucus, things like that. And then there's something called a peak rule, which is where after you have identified that there's like the slippery, swollen sensation down there, then you wait 3 days to confirm that ovulation happened, or at least what we believe to be ovulation happened. And then after that is like the luteal phase where pregnancy is not possible, and so therefore intercourse can be available anytime. So it's really simple, straightforward. Again, there's 4 rules. Well, okay, it's simple, but it's not easy, or right? Whatever the saying,
Yeah.
easy but not simple, whatever it is.
Simple but not easy.
Yeah, where it's like there's 4 rules and it's easy to implement it, but it's like sometimes really frustrating, especially when you're postpartum or ill
Mm,
or anything like that. But generally speaking, it works super well. And it's a great option, especially for those who maybe don't have the funds for like the fancy technology or things like that, or they just want like a pretty simple way to go about things.
mm. And would you say that one of the biggest the difference between let's like Billings and uh FAM, right, is like the
Mhm.
temperature and the
Yeah.
maybe the position of the cervix?
Yeah. So with Billings, we don't ask for any of that information because, again, not that fam like
It's different.
specifically like symptothermal is like the temperature one, like use temp drop and stuff. Not that those are bad or anything, but especially if you're postpartum and you're not getting a lot of sleep,
Right.
that temperature is not going to have that time it needs to really ramp up. And so you might not get super accurate data. Versus Billings, it's like
You don't
consistent.
need it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're standing up all day. You note what you're feeling, and it does take some practice to be like, what am I actually feeling? Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. But so again, Billings is just mucus patterns, and you don't have to take temperature. You don't have to worry about like cervical position or anything like that. It's literally just what is it that you feel and or see, and then you just make a note of that. And once you learn to think in patterns, you'll start to see the pattern, and you'll be able to see like a changing developing pattern is like the fertile cycle, and you'll be able to notice what your pattern looks like. An
Hmm.
infertile pattern is going to be that there's no change, and so you'll be able to know that too, especially again postpartum or nursing. So not that the, all of these methods work well, especially if you follow the rules. It just is a
Yeah.
matter of like which one is going to work best for your family. For
Yeah.
me, like I struggled with some of these ones because I was like, well, is it like this or is it this? Like I just felt it was too confusing and I was
Yeah.
overthinking it. And the temperature thing, again, I just like could never either remember to put it on or I wasn't sleeping a lot because of babies. And so
I was
like,
gonna say with five
yeah,
kiddos, like
yeah. So that
that's
one wasn't working. And
yeah.
so like this one I've been using now for, well, since we've been married, so 11 years now, and it works well. It
Cool.
is easy to implement, and yeah, it works well for our family because thanks be to God, we don't really have any fertility issues or anything like that. So we don't need like
Uh,
more of the diagnostic methods either.
Low tech, low
Yep.
cost. Yeah. It
Yep.
probably similar to other ones, it probably takes a little bit of on ramp, like 2 to 3
Oh, for
months to
sure.
see your
Yeah.
patterns and start to trust yourself in that sense. I mean, one of the things I always tell women, when they're, and this was especially true when I was working in the office, is like, um, stop recording things on the app and just like get a notebook and
Yeah.
just start writing down what you feel every day. Um,
Yeah.
and, and I think that like to the, for the Billings method, it sounds like just you're starting to get in tune with yourself again, get in touch with yourself, and then you start
Mhm.
to develop trust over time again.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
huge.
And the way that the other thing I love about it, and the app that we use is like so boring. It's like the most boring app ever. It does nothing for you, like no tracking, no anything.
Literally low tech.
Yeah. If you miss anything, it's like it just says like X's on the days. It's like many days missed. Like it's very, very simple. But there's only a couple things you can do, which is like just change the color of the square, which is part for Billings, and then there's like a little blurb for like what you feel or what you notice that day. But what I love about it too is that it's not just because this is like one big thing that I'm this one thing I'm really big on is like it's not just my responsibility. Like I'm in a relationship with my husband, and so therefore it's also on him too. So it's like
Yeah.
he logs my chart thing at the end of the day because it's like then he knows that like because we've been using it so long, like he knows the rules now. So
He's like, I'm gonna get you. You forgot
yeah.
today.
And so again, it's not just on me. Like I feel like so many of us just put it on the woman when in reality it's like, no, it like takes two to tango. And so it's like he also needs to be responsible for whatever decision we make as well. So I think that's really something that I love about it too.
Cool. That reminds me. So, like back in 2019, I was like dabbling in trying to make an app for BirthFit, and we had a general strength and conditioning program at the time. But when we were in the app development phase, we were considering like, should we invite partners, husbands, like if some way of like inviting them in to communicate with this app. But yeah, that makes complete sense. Get them in here.
Yeah.
They're equally responsible.
Yes, they are.
Uh, okay, so what does your work today look like? Because you said, okay, you started with working through birth
Yeah.
trauma. You've got basically fertility stuff under your belt. So how and where do I guess why do most women come to you, and what does a session look like, or is it group coaching?
Yeah, so I have both. So I have a group that I run every week. So it's actually today, later today.
Oh,
And every week we do like a certain training and then
yeah.
open it up for coaching. So like today we're talking about the father wound and how that affects you.
Geez,
Next week
okay.
we're talking about the mother wound and we've done like other stuff like things like that. Um, Around Christmas we did like how to make sure that you're not getting overwhelmed and like taking time
Yeah.
for yourself, especially if you're at family gatherings that feel super stressful. Like, what are some things you can do? So we do a little training and then have the coaching. And then that's for the group program that I have. And then for I call it the VIP, they get one-on-one calls with me as well, where we really dive super deep into all of these different exercises so that they can really like heal these wounds that they have so that it doesn't keep affecting their life.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of women, I still do work a lot with the birth trauma.
Yeah.
And what's so funny though is like God usually heals that within like the first few sessions. And then after that, they're like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize I had all this other stuff come up with like my parents and like how I was raised. And even just working with somebody right now who is like, I really want to leave my job, but I feel like I can't leave my job because my worth is in my job. Like my
Mm.
worth is in my work. And she was like, and I didn't even realize that until like I started really diving into it because her son had a really traumatic birth. So we were working through that. She was like, and I didn't really realize this until I actually allowed myself to like settle down and like feel safe enough
Mhm.
to think these thoughts that like
Yeah.
are my authentic self, but it just didn't feel safe enough to have them. And so again, I have some women in there who are here for birth, but ultimately it's just they all want this nervous system regulation, but not just like the journaling exercises and the deep breathing and stuff like that. Not that that's not good, but we just go really deep
Great.
on it.
Yeah.
And so we get into these wounds and how to heal them, and then just really how to live the life that is going to make them be like the best wife, mother, woman possible for their families and for
Cool.
themselves. So,
Cool. It sounds like, and I think we hit on this in the beginning, right? Like you birth how you live. And if you haven't cleaned out your
for sure.
emotional closet, right? The
Mm-hmm.
baggage over here, then that's going to show up in birth. And
Mm-hmm.
then, okay, some women find you for birth trauma, but then you start peeling away layers of the onion. And it's like, well, duh, this birth trauma showed up because I
Yeah,
have this
all this
stuff.
stuff.
I haven't cleaned out this and this and this. Um, that makes so much sense, right? Like you're peeling
Yeah,
away layers of the onion.
it is. It makes so much sense. Like my first, just anecdotally, my first three kids were born in the hospital, like before I had done this work. And
Mm,
like by all accounts, compared to a lot of women, not that I love to compare, but like they were pretty benign experiences, except for like number two. And then after that, I like really leaned into this and I was like, no, after number three, like something has to change. Cause on the outside, I was like fine and I was functioning fine, but I wasn't fine. Like, like you're fine, but
yeah,
not fine. And so
yeah.
I was like, I have to change something. So I did a lot of this work, change things. And then for babies number 4 and 5, especially number 5, it was like the most beautiful birth ever. Not because
Well,
we had twinkle lights or like music or anything like that. Like it was actually kind of a chaotic morning because I woke up at like 6:30 and was like, oh, I'm gonna have this baby soon. So I'm like getting the kids breakfast and like trying to get them to my parents' house. Um, and the midwife showed up like 15 minutes before he was born. And so it wasn't because it was this like idyllic setting,
yeah,
but it was because I felt so like in my power and like so
yeah,
authentically myself that it allowed me to show up like that. And again, that was only a representation of how it is that I'm living. And so not to say that like not to say that if you don't have this beautiful birth, then you're not doing like you're not being authentically yourself. But even if your birth doesn't go well and you have done this work, you're going to be able to see like this wasn't on me. Like I did
yes,
everything in my
yes.
power to make sure that everything would go okay. And if it didn't, like I can still be mad about it, but it's not because I did anything wrong. So
Right,
it's the
right,
ability to not internalize that as like I'm bad. I should be
right.
ashamed. That sort of thing.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with your worth or
Yeah.
who you are. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Can you touch a little bit on the mother or father wound and or
Yeah.
mother? Because I know when people say that, they're like, wait, I got that.
Yeah. Okay. So mother and father wounds, they are huge. And so basically,
Yeah.
and we likely all have one of these to some extent, whether it be a
Okay.
father wound or a mother wound. Again, it could be that like you had
You
like
have
the
both?
best parents. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
It could be that you had the best parents ever, but maybe your mom decided that she wanted to go away for a trip for a weekend and like that really affected you somehow. So again,
Okay.
it's like not shaming your parents at all whenever you go through these things. And so the father wound is basically like, as children, we are meant to be provided for and be protected. And and because we're wired for protection, when that protection is disrupted, we basically, like, our bodies learn that, like, oh, we need to be the ones to take care of everything. So we need to be the ones to be really vigilant, to control things, to try to predict the future, like to basically try to make ourselves feel safe.
I love that.
And when in reality, as little children, our jobs are just to grow, digest, repair, be creative, like
Yeah.
have connection, things like that. But again, whenever you don't have that fatherly figure in that protection role, you're going to have to take that on yourself because your body feels like it doesn't have anybody to protect it. So that's the father wound, is like, do you feel like you have to be the hypervigilant to be the provider, not necessarily monetarily, but like to be the one to take care of everything?
Right. Okay.
And then for the mother wound, it's a little bit different. It's somewhat of an overlap, but with the mother wound, it's more of like that you never learned that connection was safe, or you never learned that it was okay to just be vulnerable and to be your authentic self. Because maybe your mom, whenever you did cry and you asked for her support, maybe she like was like, nope, go away, like, I'm busy, I've got stuff to do. Or maybe it was like, oh well, you feel like this, oh well, this is why my life is so terrible too. So it like
Mm,
minimized your own feelings.
yeah.
And so again, this is going to show up in like not feeling like you can get close to people, or kind of using those more like surface level
Yeah.
relationships, having connection issues with your spouse, with your own kids, like things like that. And these aren't just about the relational sides of things too, like this affects your um, mindset around health, around finances is huge, especially for the father wound. So
Uh,
again, these are responsible for, again, not just relational aspects, but so much more than that too.
Makes sense.
Mhm.
I'm over here like, hi, me. Hi, everybody. Okay, y'all, we are coming up on time. So if you have any questions or reflections, if you're listening, you can throw them in the chat box. Ouch. Just kidding. Somebody says, yeah. Just like we talked about already, like just learning. And let's say you're listening to this podcast and it's the first time you're hearing this information, you're already more aware than your parents' generation and the generation before. So don't be too hard on yourself. Don't beat yourself up, and give yourself some grace. But know that there's resources out there like Brigid here. And speaking of, where can people find you and how can they find you?
Yeah, my website is just Loreto Wellness. That's LORETO wellness.com. And then I'm
Perfect.
mostly on Instagram, just Brigid.Tebaldi. And then I actually have a podcast as well called The Discerning
Mhm.
Mother. So you can check any of those out.
The, I think I was on your secret podcast. Is there a secret
Oh,
podcast?
yes. Yes, there is.
That one's great. Like,
Thanks.
is
Yeah, it's all
there a
about,
reason you did? Oh, yes, share that. Yeah.
yeah, the private podcast is all about like becoming the woman that God had in mind for you. And the reason
Mm,
that it's that is because, again, so many of us are living in a way, and this is no judgment, like obviously I'm still a work in progress too, but so many of us are living in a way that is like we kind of do what we think we should do, or like we do what we think other people want us to do, when in reality it's like, no, how can we step into like the power that Jesus gave us, and just really become our authentic self? And that has to come not just through like talking about it and through faith, but also through, obviously those are important, but also through understanding our body's role in this as well, because God created us in his image and likeness. And so therefore we have this body that we have to take care of. And so part of that is, again, really helping it to feel safe and vulnerable enough to be able to be our authentic selves. Because when we do that, like, we're going to show up differently in every aspect of our life, and we're going
yeah,
to start to change the world that way. So
that's beautiful. I think so. Okay, anything I missed? Any last words, even though that last bit was good?
I think the biggest thing is just, again, like, no matter what you're doing, just know that, like, no matter the circumstance, you did your best in the moment with the
Yeah.
information that you had. And that's all that
Yeah.
you can do. And that no matter what happened, like, God will redeem it and will use it for your good, even if it doesn't make sense right now. Like he will do something with this. He allowed it for some reason. And so
Yeah.
just believe that, again, everything's working out for your good. And it's either like all work works. It's either working on you or it's working for you. So just keep doing the thing.
Mm. Yeah, that's good. It's working for you or on you.
Mm.
Work is working.
Yes, it all works. Sometimes it doesn't work
Awesome.
how we want, but it all works.
Yeah. Yeah, we may not like it in the moment, but we'll appreciate it on the other side, perhaps. Well, thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. I really appreciate it. And I'm so glad to know you and have you as a resource in my corner. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks for having
Yeah,
me.
absolutely. And y'all be sure to go check Brigid out, Loretto Wellness. Did I say Loretto Wellness? Loreto.
Yep.
Um, you got some thank yous over here. And
Thanks.
yeah, if I get any other questions, I'll direct people your way. But happy Tuesday, y'all, or happy podcast day. I don't know what day you're listening to this. All right, y'all, we're gonna sign off and I will see y'all next week, next time. All right, bye everyone.